welcome back to Level Up Test Prep. I'm going to give you another cheat code on how to decode the question or decoding the question. If you see a prompt like a DBQ or a short answer, a long answer, and the years listed are odd numbers, that usually means it's referring to the start or end of a war. For instance, 1865, 1919, 1945, right? Your brain should associate these as years where wars began and end. Now, it is possible that a war begins on an even number. There's no rule saying they can't, but for instance, 1775 was when the Battle of Lexington and Concord happened. So if I see that number that year, I know to associate it with the events most closely defining it, or what makes it so unique or stand out. Another example, of course, would be 1939. So 1919 is referring to World War I. But if I see 1945 or 1939, I know to instinctively think World War II. Now, I'm going to switch colors and give you advice on what to do. Actually, if the years listed are even numbers, you should be thinking elections, and that goes for both federal and state. Now, it is also possible that it is referring to a major court decision. Now, this is also true for our odd numbers as well. So start or end of a war is definitely a part of it. It could also be a major event like a major court decision. So if the years listed are even numbers, you're thinking elections, you can federal and state. And if it is odd numbers, you want to think start or end of a war or a court decision. So let's look at some even numbers and get some ideas. Okay, the election of 1800, where Thomas Jefferson gained the White House. So 1790 with George Washington, 1860 with Abraham Lincoln, 2000 with George Bush. So whenever I see even numbers, I know to think that the question is trying to get me to think about an election, either federal or state. It could be about the White House, the Senate. It also could be a court decision. So court decisions are unique in that it could fall into both categories. But there you go. How to decode the question. If you see years listed, you now know what the test question is about. And I say this to someone who's written a lot of tests and scored a lot of tests. And if you check out my descriptions, you will see my experience both working at the professional testing level for major companies like ETS, and I've written test prep questions for study.com, and I've tutored with tutor.com as well. So I'm very familiar with how the questions are designed, and odd numbers are usually referring to a start or end of a war or a court decision, and even numbers are usually referring to elections, federal and state, and major court decisions. All right. Thanks for leveling up with me.